Hi everyone, it's Wednesday. It's time for News 2 Gives Back, and I'm meteorologist Marcus Bagwell. News 2 Gives Back is brought to you by Nashville Subaru in partnership with Twice Daily. We are in Cheatham County. We're back in Ashland City once again, but we're here to recognize the Cheatham County EMS area. And this group of people, they do a wonderful job. You know, our first responders, they are there for you when you get the call. And we have a really unique situation, but I think it's an important one for us to talk about on a life save that they were able to do in a situation where you may not have been able to notice any of the signs. So to share with us more on this, I have Paisley Godfrey here with us. I also have Assistant Chief Rick Hiltz as well. Thank you all so much for your time. Paisley, tell us about this particular incident and what you all had to encounter with this 85-year-old female.
We were dispatched out to a syncopal episode at a local facility that's nearby, and when we responded, the individual was awake and talking and stated that she didn't think that anything was going on and didn't really want to be checked out. We pushed a little bit harder to do some vital signs, check up blood pressure, which we noticed was a little low. We ended up convincing this patient to come and get checked out in the back of our ambulance, which is where we applied the EKG, and we noticed that she was having a very, very large heart attack, but not really having any of the signs or symptoms presenting like one.
And the type of heart attack that she was having, the symptoms that you were saying, it didn't look like that it was much, and that's different from a male. Can you describe what some of the symptoms of a heart attack would be?
So your normal symptoms for a heart attack are going to usually be chest pain, pain that radiates down the left arm. It could be jaw pain, dizziness, lightheadedness, low blood pressure, pale, ashen skin, some diaphoresis, some sweatiness that you got going on. Those are your usual signs and symptoms of a heart attack, and she wasn't really experiencing any of those.
And so how were you able to convince this elderly lady that you needed to get some additional tests done on her, things that you could do without having to go to the hospital? You could just do it right inside of your ambulance. How long did it take to convince her to be able to do that? And what were some of the additional things that you all may have said to encourage her to say, hey, let's just take a look. And if there's nothing, we're all good. We can move on.
It really didn't take too much convincing. We explained that her blood pressure was running low, and, she did have a syncopal episode. And, it's best to just make sure that nothing immediately is happening in her body, just to rule out anything. And she was willing to go in with us at that point to just make sure. The EKG is not a very long test. I mean, you can do one in less than 5 minutes. And fortunately, that's what ended up saving her life, was finding that heart attack on the EKG. So. Okay,
and your partner Hannah as well. So once you all determined that she was having a heart attack with a lot of blockage, you all rushed over to the hospital, and you all gave a phone call and a heads up to the folks at Skyline Hospital in Nashville. Tell us about that conversation and what they were able to do quickly once you all got there.
So normally before we start transporting to a hospital, we usually want to call from the scene or call very shortly after we leave to inform them that we have a patient who is experiencing a heart attack. Our EKG monitor will allow us to send a picture of the EKG over to their facility, which is where their facility and their physicians can read it. And we usually give an ETA about how far away we are. At that point, they get the cath team ready, and they are anticipating our arrival. And so when we get there, they can usually take them straight into the cath lab and have that blockage out within minutes.
Wow, that is awesome. Finally, the last question for you is, how important is it to be able, when you're studying for these different type of EKGs and looking at different things that you can use in the ambulance, how is it important to be able to recognize some of these different signs, to be able to apply, this is what's going on and this is why we need to get you transported quickly?
It's pretty important for us to know how to read the EKGs. Heart attacks can be very obvious on an EKG, or they can be very subtle. And so it's really important that we have the training there to make sure that we don't miss one. But as far as, what the public can do to make sure that they keep up with their heart health is really just, be in tune with your body. If you're feeling chest pain, if your family has a history of heart attacks, if you're a smoker, those can all be things that can lead to heart disease later on down the road. So it's really important that they keep up with their doctor's appointments and make sure that they have chest pain, they go get seen immediately. So.
Okay, awesome. Paisley, thank you so much. Chief Hiltz, can you expound a little bit more on what she has shared here? You all spend a lot of time preparing your paramedics and EMTs to go out in situations like this, and a lot of it can be prevented beforehand, but in the time like this, they were ready to go, and they went beyond what they may have usually done to convince this person to get an EKG and then ultimately save their life.
Yes, we We do a lot of training here. We constantly practice on interpreting EKGs. We have our folks here are very competent, and I'm very proud of them for going. I don't want to say above and beyond because we should be doing it every time, but they really tried to convince this lady to let them check her out thoroughly, and ultimately that's what saved her life. So yes, but we train real hard. Sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't, but it's a good thing. Our motto is we train until we can't forget. So we're very proud of them.
That is great. That is great. Well, thank you so much, Chief Hills. Thank you, Paisley. Great to meet you. Thank you so much for your service to the community and all of the first responders here at Cheatham County EMS. We were just back here in October of 2024, and we got to recognize them for the work that they were doing with some of the heat-related deaths that occurred, and also from the Chapmansboro plane crash that happened back in late September, early October. So we want to say thank you today. We brought them lunch as an appreciation to them. This is all brought to them by Nashville Subaru in partnership with Twice Daily. Thanks for taking time to watch this edition of News 2 Gives Back.